Captain Olivia Bennett took a deep breath as the airlock door hissed open. This was her first mission as lead diplomat, and failure was not an option. Earth's future might depend on the next few hours. "Ready, Captain?" asked Lieutenant Daniel Wright, adjusting his uniform one last time. "As ready as I'll ever be," Olivia replied, trying to hide her nervousness. "Remember the protocols. No smiling, no showing teeth. Keep your hands visible at all times." The small Earth team stepped into the meeting chamber aboard Neutral Station, Delta. The room was large and cold, with dim blue lighting that made the metallic walls gleam like wet ice. At the far end stood three figures taller than any human and covered in pale, almost translucent skin that revealed shadowy organs beneath. These were the Varaxians, one of the oldest spacefaring races in the known galaxy and potential allies, or enemies, of Earth. The tallest Varaxian stepped forward. "Captain Bennett of Earth," it said through its translator device. The voice sounded flat and mechanical. "I am Ambassador Zektal of the Varaxis Confederation. We welcome you to neutral space." As it spoke, the alien's facial muscles pulled back, in what appeared to be a smile, revealing rows of needle-like teeth. Olivia kept her expression neutral, fighting her human instinct to smile back. She remembered page 1 of the diplomatic handbook. "When aliens smile, prepare for trouble." "Ambassador Soital, we bring greetings from Earth. We look forward to discussing the proposed trade routes through your sector." Olivia kept her lips pressed tightly together, her hands clasped behind her back in the posture that xenobiologists believed the Varaxians found least threatening. The Varaxian ambassador's smile widened even further, sending a chill down Olivia's spine. "Your proposal is interesting, Captain Bennett. We will consider your terms." For 3 hours they talked. The Varaxians were interested in earth metals, particularly copper and gold, which were rare in their systems. In exchange, they offered access to their faster-than-light technology, something that would cut travel times between Earth colonies by more than half. Throughout the meeting, Olivia noticed that the Varaxians smiled more intensely whenever a serious point was discussed. It took all her training not to interpret those smiles as friendly. Back on the diplomatic vessel Horizon, Lieutenant Daniel Wright studied the footage with growing concern. "Did you see that?" he asked, pointing to the ambassador's expression during the final handshake. "See what?" replied Communications Officer Samantha Cole, leaning closer to the screen. "That smile. It's all wrong." Daniel pulled up the classified handbook titled Interspecies Diplomatic Signals, a Field Guide, and turned to the dog-eared page on Varaxian expressions. According to this, Varaxians only display teeth when they're about to what? Samantha asked. "Attack." The door to the observation room slid open and Olivia walked in, her face tight with stress. "I need your honest opinion. How did it go?" Daniel hesitated, then decided honesty was better than false comfort. "Captain, I'm concerned. The Varaxians showed aggressive signals throughout the meeting." "I noticed that too," Olivia said, sinking into a chair. "But the negotiations seemed positive. They agreed to most of our terms." "That's what worries me," Daniel replied. "According to the handbook, Varaxians rarely agree to anything without extensive debate unless they have no intention of honoring the agreement," Samantha finished. The ship's alarm suddenly blared, its harsh sound making them all jump. "Captain to the bridge, urgent communication from Earth Command," announced the ship's AI. On the bridge, Admiral John Perry's face filled the main screen. His expression was grim. "Captain Bennett, I have disturbing news. We just received a message from Earth Command. Expedition 2187 to the Varaxis system ended in diplomatic disaster 6 months ago. All contact was lost after what appeared to be a successful negotiation." Olivia felt her blood run cold. "Sir, we weren't told about any previous expedition. It was classified." The diplomats reported a positive response from the Varaxians with lots of friendly smiling. The next day, their ship was attacked without warning. No survivors. "Sir, we just concluded what seemed to be a successful negotiation. The Varaxians were smiling a lot." The Admiral's face hardened. "Get out of there now, Captain. That's an order." As Olivia turned to give the evacuation command, the ship's sensors began to wail. 3 Varaxian warships just dropped out of FTL, called out the sensor officer. They're on an intercept course. Shields up, Olivia ordered. Prepare for emergency jump. The horizon shuddered as the engines powered up. On the view screen, the sleek, predatory shapes of Varaxian ships closed in. Captain, we're receiving a transmission from Ambassador Zikatal, Samantha reported. The ambassador's face appeared on screen, teeth fully exposed in what humans might mistake for a delighted grin. Captain Bennett, why are you leaving so soon? We wish to continue our productive discussions. Olivia's mind raced. She needed time. Ambassador, we received urgent orders from Earth. A matter requiring immediate attention. How unfortunate, the Varaxian replied, still smiling. We had special plans for your delegation, Daniel whispered from his station. Captain, the jump. Drive needs 2 more minutes to charge. Olivia needed a strategy, fast. She remembered another note from the handbook. Varaxians interpret human frowns as signs of submission. Taking a deep breath, Olivia formed her face into the deepest scowl she could manage. Ambassador, we deeply regret this interruption. We submit to your greater wisdom in this matter. The Varaxian's smile faltered slightly, clearly taken aback by this display of what it perceived as extreme deference. Your submission is noted, Captain. Perhaps a brief delay would be acceptable. Thank you, Ambassador, Olivia replied, maintaining her fierce scowl. Your understanding honors us. As soon as the transmission ended, Olivia barked. Status of the jump drive? 30 more seconds, Daniel replied. The Varaxian ships are powering. Weapons, called the tactical officer. When we jump, send a message to Earth Command, Olivia ordered. Tell them everything we've learned. The handbook needs updating. The more they smile, the closer you are to extinction. The ship lurched as the first Varaxian shots hit their shields. Alarms blared throughout the vessel. Jump drive ready, Daniel called. Jump now, Olivia commanded. The stars outside stretched into lines as the horizon escaped into hyperspace, leaving the smiling Varaxians behind. But Olivia knew this wasn't over. It was just the beginning of a much larger conflict, one where understanding, alien expressions might mean the difference between survival and extinction for the human race. As the ship stabilized in hyperspace, Olivia turned to her crew. We need to compile everything we know about Varaxian communication. It's time to rewrite the diplomatic handbook. Daniel nodded, already pulling up files on his tablet. I'm on it, Captain. First rule, never trust an alien smile. And most importantly, Olivia added, never, ever smile back. 3 weeks after their narrow escape from the Varaxians, Captain Olivia Bennett found herself in a large classroom at the Earth Diplomatic Academy. The room was filled with eager young cadets dressed in crisp blue uniforms. These were the future, diplomats who would represent humanity among the stars. Your mission report has changed everything, Captain, said Professor Michelle Garcia as they walked toward the front of the classroom. We're completely revising our training protocols. Olivia nodded. The Horizon's escape had cost them dearly. 2 crew members died when a Varaxian energy blast hit their section before the jump to hyperspace. She carried that weight with her every day. Gather around, everyone. Professor Garcia addressed the class. Today we have a special guest, Captain. Bennett has just returned from first contact with the Varaxis Confederation, and she has valuable lessons to share. The cadets sat up straighter, their eyes fixed on Olivia with a mix of curiosity and respect. Olivia stepped forward. Before my mission, I thought I understood alien communication. I was wrong, and that mistake nearly cost my entire crew their lives. She activated the room's holographic display, showing footage from the meeting with Ambassador Zektal. The Varaxian's wide smile filled the screen. What do you see here? Olivia asked the class. A young man in the front row raised his hand. The alien appears to be smiling, ma'am, showing friendliness. That's what we thought too, Olivia replied. But for Varaxians, this expression is a warning display, like a wolf baring its teeth before it attacks. They smile widest right before they strike. The cadets murmured among themselves, some looking shocked, others furiously taking notes. Today we'll be discussing Chapter 7 of the new handbook. Smiles and Other Deadly Misunderstandings. Professor Garcia explained. The holographic display shifted to show various alien species and their facial expressions. Humans smile to show friendship, happiness, and good intentions, Garcia continued. But across the galaxy, baring teeth has evolved as a warning signal in over 80% of sentient species. What we consider friendly, they interpret as a direct threat. Young woman with long dark hair raised her hand. Is that why the Arcturian Treaty collapsed last year? Precisely, Cadet Rivera. Garcia nodded. Ambassador Kelly's friendly grin was interpreted as a declaration of war. 3 colony worlds were lost before we realized our mistake. Patricia Rivera had been recruited specifically for her background in evolutionary psychology and her unusually stoic demeanor. Her file noted that she rarely displays emotional expressions without conscious intent, a trait that made her potentially valuable for diplomatic missions. Olivia noticed how the young woman maintained perfect control over her facial expressions. Not once during the lecture did she smile or frown without obvious purpose. The fundamental rule of human diplomacy, Professor Garcia continued, is to understand that our instincts are often exactly wrong. When aliens seem friendly by human standards, be on highest alert. When they seem threatening, it may be their attempt at friendship. After the class, Patricia approached Olivia. Captain Bennett, I have a question that wasn't covered in the lecture. Go ahead, Cadet. If smiling is dangerous with most species, how do we express goodwill? There must be some universal signal that doesn't trigger threat responses. Olivia considered this. Good question, we're still figuring that out. With Varaxians, we discovered that a human frown is interpreted as submission or respect. It bought us just enough time to escape. So every species needs a completely different approach? Yes, and that's why we're developing a new guide. It's not enough to memorize a few rules. Each diplomat needs to understand the evolutionary history behind alien communication signals. Later that evening, Olivia met with Admiral Perry in his office. Maps of known space covered the walls with red markers indicating areas of diplomatic concern. The diplomatic corps wants you to lead a new initiative, the Admiral said without preamble. We're calling it Project Mirror. What's the objective? Olivia asked. To create a comprehensive guide to alien communication, not just a handbook with rules, but a training program that rewires how our diplomats think. The Admiral pushed a tablet toward her. We want you to work with Professor Garcia and select a small team of cadets for specialized training. Olivia scrolled through the proposal. This is ambitious. You're talking about creating diplomats who can completely suppress their human instincts. Exactly. Diplomats who won't smile when they should frown, who won't reach out when they should step back. The Admiral's face was grim. After what happened with the Varaxians, we can't afford more misunderstandings. The next one might lead to all-out war. The next morning, Olivia reviewed the files of potential candidates for Project Mirror. Patricia, Rivera's file kept drawing her attention. The psychological evaluation noted, subject shows remarkable ability to override emotional responses, can maintain neutral expressions even under stress. Potential concern, may lack natural empathy. Olivia made her decision. She selected 5 cadets with Patricia Rivera at the top of the list. The training facility was located deep in the Rocky Mountains, away from distractions. When the cadets arrived, they found a complex designed to simulate alien environments and social situations. Your human instincts will get you killed out there, Olivia told them on the first day. Here you'll learn to ignore those instincts and develop new ones. The training was intense. The cadets spent hours watching footage of alien encounters, learning to interpret expressions that seemed hostile to human eyes but were actually friendly, and vice versa. Patricia excelled at the exercises. While other cadets struggled to suppress their smiles during simulated first contacts, she maintained perfect control. How do you do it? Olivia asked her one day after a particularly challenging simulation. Patricia's face remained neutral. I decide what to feel, then I feel it, or I decide not to feel anything at all. That's a rare skill, Olivia said. But being a diplomat isn't just about controlling your expressions. It's about understanding others, building connections. I understand that, Patricia replied. But sometimes connection starts with control. 6 months into the training, Earth received an urgent request from the Kizith Collective, a hive species that had previously kept to themselves. They wanted to establish diplomatic relations with humans. This could be a major opportunity, Admiral Perry told Olivia during their weekly call. The Kizith have advanced biotechnology that could help us fight off the Varaxians if they decide to attack. Are we sending a team? Olivia asked. Yes. And we want Cadet Rivera to go as an observer. Her training reports are impressive. Olivia hesitated. She's good, but she's still a cadet. This is a high-stakes mission. Sometimes the best learning happens in the field, the Admiral replied. Besides, her unique abilities might prove valuable. As Patricia prepared for her first real diplomatic mission, Olivia gave her one final piece of advice. Remember, with the Kizith, what looks like aggression to us is often their way of showing respect. And whatever you do, don't smile. Neutral Station Epsilon hung in the darkness of space, a gleaming silver structure shaped like a wheel. It was built by an ancient race long gone from the galaxy, now used as a meeting place for different species. Inside the station, artificial, gravity and air made it comfortable for most life forms. Patricia Rivera stood in the observation room watching the Kizith delegation arrive. The aliens looked like tall insects with 6 limbs and shiny exoskeletons. Their heads had large compound eyes and moving mandibles. They walked in perfect unison like soldiers. Remember your training, Chief Diplomat Kevin Howard said as he adjusted his formal uniform. Kevin was in his 50s with gray hair and calm eyes. He had 20 years of experience in alien negotiations. The Kizith communicate partly through body posture. Their hunched shoulders and exposed mandibles are signs of respect, not aggression. Patricia nodded. I've memorized all their communication signals from the handbook. Good. Stay close, observe, and don't speak unless spoken to. Kevin placed a small device in his ear. These new universal translators should handle the Kizith language properly. The diplomatic team walked into the large meeting chamber. The ceiling was high with soft blue lights that didn't hurt the Kizith's sensitive eyes. The walls were plain white, considered neutral by most species. The hive master of the Kizith collective stood at the center of the room. It was larger than the others, with golden markings on its exoskeleton. When it saw the humans, it hunched its shoulders and clicked its mandibles rapidly. Kevin kept his face neutral and bowed slightly. Honorable Hive Master, we thank you for this meeting. Earth looks forward to peaceful relations with the Kizith collective. The translator in Kevin's ear converted the Hive Master's clicks and whistles. We welcome Earth's representatives. Your reputation for adaptability interests us. Patricia watched carefully, noting how the Kizith moved and positioned themselves. Every movement seemed to have meaning. She noticed that when Kevin spoke of trade possibilities, the Kizith's mandibles moved in a specific pattern. When he mentioned shared defense against threats, their posture changed slightly. An hour into the meeting, a door opened and 3 Varaxians entered the chamber. Patricia felt her heart rate increase. These were the same aliens who had attacked Captain Bennett's ship. We invited observers from other powers, the Hive Master explained. The Varaxis Confederation has interests in this sector. Ambassador Ziektal, the lead Varaxian, nodded toward the humans. Its face remained expressionless, showing no teeth. Kevin continued the negotiations calmly. We accept your terms for the mining rights on Proxima B, he said, maintaining a neutral expression as he had been trained. The translator relayed his message, and the Hive Master's mandibles clicked excitedly. The Kizith delegation buzzed in what Patricia recognized as approval. Suddenly, she noticed something alarming. The Varaxian representatives were pulling back their facial muscles, displaying their teeth in what appeared to be friendly smiles. Patricia leaned toward Director Alan Mason, an older diplomat who was observing with her. Sir, she whispered. Urgently, something's wrong. The Varaxians are smiling at the Kazith. Director Mason's eyes widened. That's a challenge display. They're threatening the Hive Collective right in the middle of our treaty signing. Should we warn Chief Howard? No time. We need to. The station's alarms blared as the Varaxian delegates suddenly lunged toward the Kazith representatives. The tallest Varaxian grabbed for the Hive Master, its needle-like teeth fully exposed. Kevin threw himself between them. His face deliberately formed into what humans would consider a terrifying grimace. Bared teeth, narrowed eyes. To the Kazith, this signaled peaceful intention. To the Varaxians, it was a submission display. The room froze. The Varaxians stopped, confused by Kevin's expression. Patricia acted on instinct. She stepped forward, her face arranged in a deep scowl directed at the Varaxians. Earth stands with the Kazith Collective, she said clearly. This treaty will be honored. The Hive Master's translator clicked rapidly. The Varaxians claim we violated their territory by agreeing to let humans mine on Proxima B. Ambassador Zektal spoke, its smile now gone. The Proxima system belongs to the Confederation by ancient right. This treaty is an act of aggression. Kevin maintained his grimace, speaking carefully. Perhaps there has been a misunderstanding. Earth was unaware of any Varaxian claim to the Proxima system. Director Mason stepped forward. We propose a three-way negotiation. Surely space has room for all our interests. The tension in the room remained high. Patricia noticed the Kazith communicating among themselves with subtle movements of their limbs. The Varaxians watched with cold eyes. No longer, smiling but clearly not backing down. The Hive Master made a sharp clicking sound. We agree to further discussion. Violence serves no one's interests. Ambassador Zektal hesitated, then nodded stiffly. The Confederation will participate in these discussions. As the emergency was diffused, security officers from the neutral station lowered their weapons. The meeting was adjourned until the next day. Back in their private quarters, Kevin sank into a chair. That was close. Too close. The Varaxians tried to sabotage our treaty, Patricia said. They knew exactly what they were doing with those smiles. Yes, Kevin agreed. They were trying to provoke a conflict between us and the Kazith. If we hadn't recognized their smile as an aggression display, Director Mason entered the room, his face grim. We just received word from Earth Command. The Varaxians have been doing this across the sector, showing up at diplomatic meetings and trying to turn species against each other. Divide and conquer, Kevin muttered. Exactly. Mason nodded. They're isolating potential allies before making their real move. Patricia thought about what she had seen in the meeting room. The Kazith responded well to our intervention. I think they appreciated that we understood the Varaxian threat display. You did well today, Rivera, Kevin said. Your training paid off. When you stepped forward with that scowl toward the Varaxians, it showed the Kazith we understood the diplomatic language at play. That night, Patricia couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about how quickly things had almost turned violent. A single misunderstood expression, a smile at the wrong time, had nearly started a fight that could have led to war. She opened her personal tablet and began typing notes for the diplomatic handbook. Under the section about Varaxian expressions, she added, they use smiles as weapons, strategically deployed to create conflict between other species. Always be alert for Varaxian smiles directed at third parties, as this may indicate an attempt to provoke conflict. The next morning, the three-way negotiations began with heightened security. The Kazith representatives now positioned themselves closer to the humans, their mandibles clicking in what Patricia recognized as a sign of trust. Ambassador Zektal watched with cold eyes as humans and Kazith worked together to redraw the mining rights agreement. The Varaxian delegation was given a small concession, observation rights in the Proxima system, but no territory. This is just the beginning, Director Mason told Patricia as they watched the final documents being prepared. The real challenge will be dealing with the Varaxians long term. They clearly have plans for expansion. Patricia nodded. At least now we understand their smiles. Yes, Mason agreed. In human diplomacy, the rule is clear. The more they smile, the closer you are to extinction. 2 years passed after the incident at Neutral Station Epsilon. Patricia Rivera was no longer a cadet. Now she was a full diplomat with the Earth Diplomatic Corps, with 3 successful missions under her belt. Her ability to read alien body, language, and control her own expressions had made her one of Earth's most valuable representatives. The main hall of Earth Command headquarters was filled with people. Officers in crisp uniforms and diplomats from a dozen worlds gathered for an important announcement. Patricia stood near the back, watching everything with careful eyes. Admiral John Perry stepped onto the raised platform at the front of the room. His uniform was decorated with medals, and his face was serious. "This is the most important document you will ever read," the Admiral told the assembled captains of Earth's diplomatic fleet, as assistants distributed secure tablets. The complete Guide to Human Diplomacy contains generations of hard-won knowledge, much of it paid for in blood. Patricia was called forward. She walked to the platform, her face deliberately calm. Captain Olivia Bennett, now promoted to Director of Diplomatic Training, stood nearby with a proud smile. "The guide has 3 central principles," Patricia explained to the crowd. "First, never assume your instinctive understanding of communication applies to non-human species. Second, every diplomatic engagement should be preceded by extensive observation. And third, the more comfortable you feel during an interaction, the more likely you're missing crucial signals." The room fell silent as the ship captains absorbed this information. "The Varaxian incident resulted in 17 deaths," Patricia continued, "but it taught us something invaluable. When a Varaxian smiles, they're not expressing friendship, they're asserting dominance. It's a warning that they consider you prey." A young lieutenant raised his hand. His name tag read Gregory Barnes. "So how do we express friendship to them?" he asked. "By showing submission through what we would consider threatening poses. Hunched shoulders, averted eyes, and absolutely no teeth." "What about the upcoming conference with the Andorian Federation?" asked Captain Natalie Powell, a tall woman with short red hair. "I've heard they're even more difficult to read." Patricia nodded grimly. "The Andorians, when they like what you're saying, they look as if they're about to murder you. Their equivalent of applause looks identical to a human war dance, and their laughter sounds like screams of agony. How do we prepare for that?" "Practice, Captain." Powell. "Hours of desensitization training until your human instincts no longer cloud your judgment." After the presentation, Patricia met with Admiral Perry and Director Bennett in a private meeting room. The walls were soundproofed and security scanners ensured no one could listen in. "The guide is excellent work," the Admiral said, "but we have a new situation developing." Director Bennett activated a holographic display showing a star map. "The Varaxians have been quiet since the Kazith Treaty, too quiet. Our intelligence suggests they're planning something big." "What kind of intelligence?" Patricia asked. "We've been monitoring their communications," the Admiral explained. "They're gathering a fleet near the Sirius sector, and they've been making contact with several species, including the Andorians." Patricia frowned. "The Andorians are scheduled to attend the Galactic Peace Summit next month. If the Varaxians have influenced them..." "Exactly our concern," Director Bennett said. "We need someone who understands both Varaxian and Andorian communication patterns, someone who won't misinterpret their signals or send the wrong message." Patricia realized they were both looking at her. "You want me to go to the summit?" "Not just attend," the Admiral said. "We want you to lead Earth's delegation." The responsibility was enormous. The Peace Summit would include representatives from 37 species. One wrong move, one misunderstood expression could trigger a diplomatic incident or worse. "I'll need a team," Patricia said, "people trained in the new protocols." "You'll have the best," Director Bennett assured her, "including diplomat Ryan Collins. He's been working with our new augmented reality system that can help interpret alien micro-expressions in real time." The next few weeks were filled with intense preparation. Patricia studied every species that would attend the summit, memorizing their communication patterns and cultural taboos. Ryan Collins proved to be a valuable team member. He was younger than Patricia, with a natural talent for technology and quick thinking. He had designed special glasses that could analyze alien, facial movements and body language, then provide instant feedback to the wearer. These will give us an edge, Ryan explained as Patricia tried on the glasses. They can catch subtle signals we might miss. Patricia nodded. But we can't rely only on technology. If it fails, we need to trust our training. Of course, Ryan agreed. The glasses are just a tool. Your judgment is what matters most. The day before they were set to leave for the summit, Patricia received a visitor. Captain Olivia Bennett, now Director Bennett, came to her office. "You've come a long way from that cadet who asked about universal friendship signals," Olivia said with a small smile. "I've had good teachers," Patricia replied. "This summit is crucial. We have reason to believe the Viraxians will try to form an alliance with the Andorians against Earth and the Kizith Collective. If they succeed, war," Patricia finished simply. Olivia nodded. "You need to be prepared for anything. The Viraxians know our standard diplomatic protocols now. They might try something unexpected. Like what? Like actually smiling when they mean friendship, reversing their own communication signals to confuse us." Patricia considered this. "That would be clever. Make us doubt our own understanding." "Exactly. Trust your instincts but verify everything. And remember, sometimes the best move is no move at all." The journey to the Galactic Peace Summit took 3 days at maximum faster-than-light speed. The summit was being held on a massive space station called the Nexus, built specifically for interspecies gatherings. As their ship approached the station, Patricia stood at the viewing window, watching the structure grow larger. It looked like a giant crystal with hundreds of docking ports for ships of all sizes. "Nervous?" Ryan asked, joining her at the window. "Cautious," Patricia replied. "This won't be like our previous missions. The Viraxians are getting smarter. They're learning to use our expectations against us." "That's why we have the guide," Ryan said, "and each other. No one faces this alone." Patricia touched the tablet containing the diplomatic guide. "The most important rule to remember is simple. Trust nothing at face value, especially smiles." Their ship docked smoothly at the Nexus. As the airlock opened, Patricia took a deep breath and put on her diplomat's face, calm, controlled, and ready for anything. "Remember," she told her team as they prepared to disembark, "the more they smile, the closer you are to extinction. But also remember that they know we know this now. The game has changed, and we must change with it." Ryan nodded, adjusting his AR glasses. "I've updated the system to flag any unusual behavior patterns, even from species we think we understand well." Patricia led her team into the Nexus, where representatives from across the galaxy waited. Somewhere among them were the Viraxians, possibly plotting Earth's downfall, and this time they might not be smiling at all. The Grand Council chamber of the Nexus was the largest room Patricia had ever seen. It was a perfect circle with rising tiers of seats, designed to accommodate beings of all shapes and sizes. The ceiling was a transparent dome showing the stars. Outside, a reminder of the vastness they all shared. Representatives from 37 different species filled the chamber. Some looked almost human, while others were so alien that Patricia could barely tell which end was their head. Earth's delegation was seated in the middle section, with the Kizith Collective nearby. The Viraxians were directly across from them, and the Andorians were 3 sections to the right. "Scan complete," Ryan whispered, his augmented reality glasses glowing softly. "I've identified all major delegations and loaded their communication profiles." Patricia nodded slightly. "Focus on the Viraxians and Andorians. Note any unusual interactions between them." The summit began with formal introductions. Each species sent 1 representative to the central podium to state their name and planet of origin. When it was Earth's turn, Patricia rose from her seat. She walked to the podium with measured steps, her face set in what humans would consider a threatening scowl. an expression that most council species interpreted as respectful attention. "Honored representatives," she began, her voice carefully modulated to avoid frequencies that certain species found aggressive. "I am diplomat Patricia Rivera of Earth. We come seeking peace and cooperation among the stars." As she spoke, Ryan watched the reactions of the various delegations through his glasses, sending data directly to Patricia's earpiece. "The Varaxians are showing no teeth," he murmured. "The Kazith mandibles are clicking in approval pattern. The Andorians, difficult to read as always." When Patricia returned to her seat, an Andorian representative approached the podium. The alien was tall and lean with blue-gray skin and ridge-like features. As it began to speak, its face contorted in what appeared to be rage, its body trembling with barely controlled violence. The human diplomats remained calm, recognizing this as the Andorian equivalent of formal greeting. "The Nexus shines with the light of cooperation," the Andorian's translator conveyed while the alien made sounds like metal being torn apart. "Andoria brings hopes for lasting alliance." Ryan leaned close to Patricia. "The Andorian's body language shows standard diplomatic signals, no evidence of Varaxian influence yet." The introductions continued until all 37 species had spoken. Then the real work began. The first topic was trade routes through contested space, including the Proxima system that had nearly caused conflict between Earth, the Kazith, and the Varaxians 2 years earlier. "Earth proposes open access to major transit corridors," Patricia stated during her presentation. "No single species should control the paths between stars." The Kazith Hive Master signaled agreement with a specific mandible pattern. Several other species indicated approval in their own ways. Then Ambassador Zuktal of the Varaxis Confederation rose to speak. Patricia watched carefully. The last time she had seen the ambassador was during the tense standoff at Neutral Station Epsilon. "The Confederation agrees with Earth's proposal," Zuktal said, face completely neutral, showing no teeth whatsoever. Patricia felt a chill. This was not the expected response. The Varaxians had always insisted on exclusive control of territories. They claimed. "Something's wrong," she whispered to Ryan. "This is too easy." The Andorian representative spoke next, its body now perfectly still, a sign of intense focus in their species. "Andoria also supports Earth's proposal, with one addition. Security patrols should be conducted by a coalition force, not individual planets." Ryan's glasses flashed a warning. The Andorian just used a micro-expression that doesn't match their species profile. It's similar to a Varaxian dominance signal. Patricia's mind raced. Were the Andorians mimicking Varaxian communication patterns? Or had they been influenced somehow? She made a subtle hand signal to the other human diplomats. Caution. The debate continued through various proposals. Patricia noticed a pattern emerging. The Varaxians remained surprisingly agreeable, while the Andorians proposed increasingly restrictive security measures that would give their ships access to all major systems. During a short recess, Patricia gathered her team in a private room. "The Varaxians have changed their strategy," she explained. "They're using the Andorians as their voice while appearing reasonable themselves." "My analysis confirms it," Ryan said, removing his glasses. "The Andorians are displaying subtle Varaxian communication patterns. I think they've been trained or conditioned." Patricia nodded. "They're trying to isolate us by making us look like the unreasonable ones if we object to the Andorian proposals." "What do we do?" asked another team member. Patricia thought for a moment. "We need to break their coordination. I'm going to use their own tactics against them." When the summit reconvened, Patricia requested speaking time. She approached the podium slowly, her face arranged in a perfect Andorian expression of calm contemplation, something that looked terrifying to human eyes. "Honored Council," she began. "Earth has considered the security proposal from Andoria." She paused, then deliberately formed her face into what humans would recognize as a wide, friendly smile, teeth fully visible. She directed this expression straight at the Varaxian delegation. The effect was immediate. The Varaxians stiffened, clearly alarmed by this threatening display aimed directly at them. "We believe," Patricia continued, still smiling broadly at the Varaxians. That security is indeed important. So important that we propose full transparency of all patrol ship movements and communications. The Andorian delegation began making agitated movements. This was not part of the plan they had coordinated with the Varaxians. Furthermore, Patricia added, now switching to a serious expression, Earth has evidence of communication pattern training between certain delegations present today. Such coordination undermines the independence of council members and should be investigated. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Several species began looking suspiciously at both the Varaxians and Andorians. Ambassador Ziktal stood up abruptly. These accusations are baseless. The Confederation acts independently. Patricia maintained her composure. Then the ambassador won't object to a joint communication analysis by neutral parties. The Kizith Hivemaster clicked its mandibles in the pattern for strong agreement. The collective supports Earth's proposal for transparency. One by one, other species joined in supporting the call for investigation. The careful plan of the Varaxians was falling apart. That evening, the Andorian delegation requested a private meeting with Earth. When Patricia entered the meeting room, she found not only the Andorians, but also representatives from 5 other species who had been showing unusual communication patterns. The Varaxians have been training our diplomats, the lead Andorian admitted, its body now showing natural movements. They promised technology and protection if we supported their agenda. Over the next days, the truth emerged. The Varaxians had been secretly influencing smaller powers, teaching them to use communication signals that would confuse and mislead other species. Their goal was to build a coalition that could challenge Earth and the Kizith Collective. With their plan exposed, the Varaxians had no choice but to accept more limited terms in the final peace agreement. They would have access to trade routes but no control over security or governance. As the summit concluded, the Galactic Council chambers buzzed with new understanding. Many species now recognized how important it was to study each other's natural communication patterns. Ambassador Zekatal approached Patricia as the final documents were being prepared. You have proven more adaptable than we expected, human, the Varaxian said, face carefully neutral. Understanding is the foundation of peace, Patricia replied, deliberately using a mild Varaxian submission posture to show she was not gloating over the victory. The ambassador nodded slightly. Perhaps there is wisdom in your species after all. As the Earth delegation prepared to return home, Ryan joined Patricia at the observation window. Together they watched the ships of 37 species departing the Nexus, returning to their home worlds. So what's the most important lesson from all this? Ryan asked. Patricia thought for a moment. That communication is always evolving. The guide we wrote 2 years ago helped us today, but tomorrow we'll need a new one. The universe is too complex for simple rules. Even the more they smile, the closer you are to extinction. Patricia allowed herself a small, genuine human smile, hidden from alien eyes. Especially that one. Sometimes a smile is just a smile, sometimes it's a threat, and sometimes it's a carefully planned deception. The real skill isn't memorizing which is which. What is it then? Learning to see beyond our own expectations. That's the true art of human diplomacy.